各位朋友，大家好，我是胖叔。今天我们聊的话题是采访滕哈格的荷兰老乡。话说几年前呢，我的附近搬来了一个新邻居，我去打招呼，出来的是女主人特莱莎。我一听说她是挪威人，就特别兴奋，因为那时候曼联的主教练正是索尔斯克亚。我就问他：“你认识欧雷吗？”然后他就笑着说：“全挪威谁不认识欧雷古纳索克夏？”还用挪威语纠正我的发音。反正呢，我到现在也没学会。那我随后就问他：“那你先生也是挪威人吗？”他说：“不是的，我先生是荷兰人。”那后来呢，我就见到了我的荷兰邻居约德啊，基本上满足了我对荷兰人所有的刻板印象啊。他喜欢户外运动，说话直白，而且是妥妥的荷吹和阿贾克斯吹。他从小看阿贾克斯的球长大，一听我也爱看球，就跟我从克鲁伊夫一路吹到2010年的世界杯，我毫无插嘴的机会。最后他就说：“哎，听说你是曼联球迷。曼联上一次算得上强的时候是什么时候啊？”我一时语塞，然后他就笑着说：“是不是 C 罗、鲁尼拿欧冠那一年？都不是10几年前了吗？”然后我就说：“上次拿冠军呢是穆里尼奥带队欧联杯那一年了，决赛踢的是……”然后这个时候他的脸色突然暗淡了下来，说：“踢的是阿贾克斯，2017-2-0，我就在现场。当天我和我的一个哥们儿一路从挪威开到瑞典，看了一场令人窒息的防守足球。穆里尼奥真是个足球杀手。”我那时候就问他，曼联队里的范德比克就是阿贾克斯的，可惜一直没有出场机会，你怎么看？约德的表情呢就十分痛苦，说：“你可知道2019年范德比克可是金球奖前30，这么好的一个球员，过早的去豪门坐板凳，现在都蹉跎了。想当初18-19赛季的时候，欧冠阿贾克斯一路杀到了4强，离晋级决赛只差几分钟，其中客场伯纳乌皇马4-1那一场，我现在想起来都浑身都是鸡皮疙瘩。”而他的太太特莱莎呢，因为不看足球，半天插不上话，此时终于兴奋地加入了谈话，说：“对，我就记得那天打热刺，他们一帮子荷兰大老爷们在我家看球，2-0领先的时候，客厅里的歌声、欢呼声就没停过。后来比赛到了90分钟，我在厨房里突然听到客厅一片死寂啊，我就知道大事不好了。赶到客厅，每一个人脸上都是面如死灰，眼神空洞。随后他就往我的荷兰邻居约德一指，说：啊，就跟他现在的脸色差不多。那结果前不久呢，约德的好哥们儿从荷兰来看他，哥们儿叫马泰斯之前不是提到约德还专门到现场看了欧联杯的决赛吗？那时候跟他一起去的哥们儿就是这个马泰斯。俩人听说我在 B 站做足球视频，最高的点击都有9万多，马泰斯就很兴奋的说：那我们要是能上你的视频，我们不就是名人了吗？而约德说：那也未必，中国的9万人估计就相当于是荷兰的9个人。那马泰斯这次来呢，只能待几天，机会难得，我们就录了一段采访。今天放的是上半段，主要是聊滕哈格、安东尼和奥纳纳。那如果大家喜欢本视频，给我的点赞能够超过5000，那么我再把下半段剪一剪放出来。事不宜迟，我们一起来认识一下马泰斯和约德吧。Today we're going to talk about football. We're going to talk about Ajax and then football in general. Before we start, why don't you each please introduce yourself? Let's start with Jort.
Yeah. Jort de Boer, grew up in the Netherlands, and I've been moving abroad ever since, but always a big Ajax supporter.
Awesome. What about Matthias?
I'm Dutch as well, Ajax fan for quite a while.
But you're also not from the area, are you?
No, actually I lived closer to where he grew up than Amsterdam, so I also grew up in the east.
The area where Ten Hag is from.
The Erik ten Hag accent, is that the accent from your area?
Yeah, very much my area. It's basically more close to being a dialect.
I recall that he had a difficulty speaking fluent English. It's nowhere close to what you guys can do.
Yeah, but that's also a bit of a generation thing.
Van Gaal the same, yeah.
Oh, his English is short, but it conveyed a message.
Yeah.
But Ten Hag actually heard that he failed the Tottenham Hotspur interview because of his language barrier.
When he joined Ajax after leaving Utrecht, his accent was one of the main things that the Amsterdam, because they're arrogant generally, and village boys, and what is this guy gonna do? And then within half a year, convinced him that he was actually a capable coach. But it took a while because he wasn't instantly successful.
He was not a typical Ajax affiliate.
Yeah, the popular term you hear is Ajax DNA. And,
he United DNA. Right?
He didn't have that, and
but he played the style.
Is that because he had his history from Bayern Munich? I think he coached the B team.
He did under Guardiola.
Yeah, let's talk more about this, because a lot of the Chinese fans, they're Premier League fans. They follow Arsenal, Liverpool, United, City. Ten Hag is new to them. What was he like in Ajax? What were the pros and cons of him in the general impression?
To begin with, he's Dutch, right? So
right.
I'm not sure how many Chinese know about Dutch culture, but we're very direct. We're very open.
Yeah.
So he is very clear.
Yeah.
But you need to accept it and
Right.
and accept his authority. He was very clear. He can be quite ruthless in
Right.
communication, and he turns out to be quite often right. But
In his ruthless communication in terms of to the player,
yeah,
or
well,
to the
not
media?
ruthless. No, to the players. I
Oh.
think that he can be quite clear. You're benched because I have this kind of strategy. Whatever fits the team. And who are we playing against? That's I think the way of communication was what is his strong thing in the Netherlands culture. But if you then go to the UK,
right,
it's a bit different. You're playing with stars instead of young kids because Ajax was generally young people. It's completely different. And top players they earn top salaries and think that they're top players.
Yeah.
Often that's questionable. It's
Right.
really the coach who makes that because he's then misunderstood and he's being too direct or not diplomatic enough.
Yeah, I think he has one more challenge in UK now is the language barrier. Actually, there's one thing I need to ask you from a Dutch perspective. There's something he said after a game. Like people ask him, why did you sub Casemiro off? And he said, I want Eriksen to get on to play more football. And I think Dutch people know what he means, but English people is like, what do you mean? Casemiro is not playing football? Is he not bringing enough football? So I guess he is direct. He is very open. And it may not always be well accepted by the players and the media.
But he did make a switch, I think, between Ajax and Manchester United, because at Ajax it was also all about how you play.
Yeah.
This is a cultural thing at Ajax as well. It has to be 4-3-3. You have to have wing backs that come over.
Right.
You have to have
the ball.
You have to have the ball.
70%.
Always have to have,
Possession.
and if you don't have the ball, you need to find a way to have it within no time.
Yeah.
Like
And
Guardiola.
Like Guardiola,
Yeah.
it's really a Guardiola adept, right? And Guardiola is a Cruyff and Van Gaal adept. It's just Dutch culture.
Yeah,
And
the DNA, right?
We might
Ajax
take
DNA.
too much ownership of this one.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's evolved.
Yeah.
Central defender could be a striker, and the striker can be a defender.
Yeah.
This total football concept.
Yeah, just like Harry Maguire is now
Yeah.
often play as a striker from time to time. And I think you guys would not find it awkward, but a lot of the general fans find it very awkward.
I think so, and that the keeper is actually the 11th field player. That's a big thing, right?
Right.
It's for Guardiola, for Van Gaal. Even, for instance, when Van Gaal mentions his tactics,
Right.
it's never 4-3-3. It's always 1-4-3-3.
Oh.
He deliberately emphasizes the very
one,
fact
to
that
start
and
with
now,
the keeper.
exactly. And now you have Onana, which
Yeah.
is obviously very much a Ten Hag transfer, and
Yeah.
the one he brought into Ajax and I
Right.
brought into Man United. He is well known not just for his goalkeeping, but also for his vision of
Ball-playing
football and his
ability.
ball playing abilities.
And he has a good kick. He gets
Yeah.
the ball exactly where he wants it.
That's a very important, because once you have a keeper that's comfortable on the ball,
Right.
you suddenly have less pressure in the defense.
Yeah.
And Ten Hag has always this idea you need to have at least 2, if not 3 options to pass to,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And once you lose the ball, there needs to be immediate pressure on the ball. So very often you see either 1 or 2 sixes, like defensive midfielders right in front of the central defense,
Right.
that are very capable of getting the ball,
Yeah.
but also very capable of then turning away and opening forward, like Frenkie de Jong on the Ten Hag, which is probably a player he would have loved to have at Manchester
Couldn't
United.
afford.
well, I guess we could afford, but he didn't want to come.
No, but that's in a way that's the ultimate Ajax player, the number
Right.
10 and the number 6 position.
Right.
And they
So
switch
the one
around.
right behind the striker and the one right in front of the defense.
Yeah.
If those are very capable players, that's the core lifeline of the Ten Hag football.
So when Ten Hag was at Ajax, did he get more, I guess, flexibility because he chose to play your way, your Ajax way?
Well, the youth of Ajax is it's constant. They always play this.
Oh, so
And-
he
and
had a nice talent
they-
pool that he can tap
Yeah,
into.
and they're used to from beginning, from the age of 4 that they're recruited, let's say.
Yeah.
Ten Hag had a lot of Ajax youth come through. If you know how to play it, then you don't have to explain it. And you know it with your kids. If you learn it young,
Yeah.
they can pick it up.
It's natural,
It's
yeah.
natural, and
Yeah.
that's I think a big difference. Is he wanted to play a certain style? He has to play a certain style because it's Ajax, and Ajax delivers you
Right.
talent that makes it go. And then he
Yeah.
does 1 or 2 good buys with Tadic and Blind, brings
Yeah.
a bit of maturity.
But this is also the major downfall, right? That you always committed one way of playing.
Uh-huh.
And there are matches that ask something else. 2018-19 season, they went to Real Madrid, to the Bernabeu, won 4-1, playing this way.
Right.
That's
That's
rare,
amazing.
super rare,
Yeah,
right? But
very
then there
amazing.
have also been matches, say the Manchester United
Final.
Ajax final, and
Yeah.
we were there
Yeah.
in 2017 Europa League.
Yes.
Again, they tried to play the same way. This was on the boss. This was a coach before Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Complete failure. It's a complete loss from the beginning.
Yeah, it was.
Do you think it's more credit to Mourinho or it's more?
He destroyed the game, and then Ajax could never get a hold of their play style.
So
And
this
that
is
won.
interesting because I think now there is some kind of questioning of Ten Hag making adjustment, right? In-game adjustment or pre-game adjustment. Can he just only try to play his way but no other way? Is that a Ten Hag thing?
Yeah,
I think when you're longer together with the same group, then you can start practicing
Different things.
different things.
Yeah.
He did evolve, I think,
Yeah.
at Ajax.
Over time, yeah.
Into playing more diverse. At United,
I
I
don't
can
blame
see
you.
that but also with Ajax, he it needed time. Then within the first 6 months, he was nearly out. The core hooligan groups of Ajax, they were standing at the Amsterdam arena asking for his
him to be
resignation.
sacked.
Yeah,
In the early days. Now,
Well, I thought his first season was pretty successful.
No, the first half. wasn't so
the
much.
first half was
Oh.
not.
And he didn't get become champions in the first half.
You can only win at Ajax. You can't lose.
But
Yeah,
also
yeah.
for
That's right.
Ajax
Yeah.
plays offensive. They have the ball in the Netherlands, and then he plays against only Dutch teams that generally are also quite offensive, even though they don't have the skill. Everybody in the Netherlands just plays offensive, so it's a great division
I guess
to
a
watch.
setup for
And he only in the European cups has he been challenged in playing style adaptation.
Right.
But Ajax was that good that they could actually play their style generally. He didn't have to swap, except for against Tottenham in the last minutes. But that was
We don't.
we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about it.
but I found it so surprising that he jumped in last season. They started out quite poorly,
Right.
but then quickly he got the hang of it, and he also got rid of Ronaldo, which I think was a good idea.
Yeah.
And he made some important changes to the team.
Spent
Yeah.
good money on Anthony.
Yeah, that's right. To help his parent club. Yeah, what's your view on those transfers? Anthony, Martinez,
Well, I think Martinez was
goodbye.
goodbye.
Yeah.
So, but Martinez, what I read in the news, I mean, they give a bit more,
Right.
and he's a bit tougher. He might be a
Yeah.
small kid or
Yeah,
a
yeah.
guy, but
Yeah.
Anthony, yeah.
Remember,
also with Ajax.
Martinez came in with Ajax, was benched in the beginning, and kind of really grew and became
Yeah.
an indispensable player. Next
Yeah.
to Timber, that was the core, that was the heart that worked.
Yeah,
and
that's-
over years, he really proved himself. Whereas Anthony, so Martinez like definitely worth the money.
Yeah.
I think he's proven himself at
Already.
United already.
Yeah.
Anthony, when he came, he was immediately often in the squad already, but he never really kind of proved himself. He never showed that consistency, like a 5-6
Games in a row.
games in
that
a
he can do
row,
great. Yeah.
important assists, goals, none of that. And not worth 100 million, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look around. What type of players are paid? Even now, paid 100 million for. Those are players that really have proven themselves over a longer period of time, and they arrive and they are immediately worth their 100 million.
Right.
Except maybe Eden Hazard.
Well, Chelsea made a lot of questionable
Yeah,
purchases.
Chelsea did as well. So Anthony, he probably has the ability, but maybe at that time, as an Ajax supporter, I'm not going to complain.
Oh, no.
But initially he didn't defend as much, and under Ten Hag he really started contributing defensively as well. And there might have been an aspect in his reasoning about Anthony is that I can get him to become even better. Young kid, there was a commitment to the team performance, him coming back defensively increased. So maybe Ten Hag was thinking, okay, he's one of those raw gems that maybe if he comes back more, he becomes
get
a more
more out of
complete, more of a high risk, high reward.
Right.
But clearly stuff has been going on in his private life as well that might does affect
Yeah, a lot of
the
private
overall-
stuff is going on, including some of the other squad players at United.
Yeah.
Well, that seems to be just a curse.
But Maguire is excelling now, right?
But Maguire is a top player right now on everywhere. All these Chinese viewers really love Maguire because there's just so much drama up front.